Hello. Right. Tonight we are going to be talking about Konrad Adenauer, the first Chancellor of West Germany, and the Basic Law, which is the first constitution of West Germany, the Constitution of West Germany. So, in May 1949, the Basic Law is adopted as the constitution of the new West German state. Why is it called the Basic Law? Why isn't it just called the West German Constitution? Well, it's essentially an acknowledgement that the hope of the government of West Germany is that West Germany as a state is a temporary arrangement, that Germany will be reunited, that the division is not forever, and therefore it is not appropriate for the West German state to have a formal constitution as such. Really, it's window dressing. It absolutely is a constitution of a country, and there probably wasn't much widespread expectation that Germany would be reunited in the lifetime of the people drawing up the constitution. Indeed, it isn't. But certainly, they don't want to formalise the division, so that's why it's called the Basic Law. What about Konrad Adenauer? Who is he? So, Konrad Adenauer is the first Chancellor of West Germany. Previously, he had been the mayor of Cologne, which is one of the cities that, of course, has suffered the most under Allied bombing. And during the Nazi years in Germany, he has been arrested twice as an identified opponent of the regime. He is a devoted Catholic, so he opposes the Nazis fairly openly on measures to do with, say, the euthanasia, and the kind of immorality of their policies. He's also very anti the kind of strong Prussian nationalism that informs aspects of the Nazi rule. So he's not a natural ally of the Nazis. This gains him significant credibility with the Allies when they come to work with him. So that's Konrad Adenauer. And he is also the founder of the CDU, the co-founder of a new political party in West Germany, the CDU, the Christian Democratic Union. And that party is actually the party that Angela Merkel has, until quite recently, been leader of in contemporary Germany. What is the CDU? The CDU is a natural successor to the Centre Party, but where the Centre Party had been exclusively Catholic, Adenauer argues, quite plausibly, it needs to be a broader Christian coalition. It needs to include Protestants as well, because if Christian parties are divided, they're more vulnerable to being defeated by, as he sees it, the major enemy of the day, Marxist parties. And the CDU is a centre-right party, fiscally, economically quite conservative, quite pro-business, quite pro-property, but with a strong underpinning sense of social justice, as we shall see when we come to look at their economics policy. So, the Basic Law. What does the Basic Law involve? First and foremost, we should remember it's drawn up by Germans, but under the close supervision of the Allies. And indeed, the Occupation Statute is another law that comes into being in 1949 that makes it very, very clear that in certain key areas, particularly, say, foreign policy, West Germany is not a free or independent state, and indeed is governed in certain aspects by the occupying powers. So the Allies are very carefully supervising the drawing up of the Constitution. And the main aim of the Constitution is to avoid any repetition of the mistakes of the past. They want to safeguard democracy far more effectively than Weimar had managed to. So as you'd expect, you get all the usual safeguards of civil liberties, freedom of speech, but there's a number of specific measures that are really designed to prevent the mistakes of Weimar occurring again. So what are these? Well, first of all, there is a restoration of power at a regional level. Where Hitler, as part of Gleichschaltung, had removed, I apologise to anyone who speaks German and can actually pronounce things properly, had removed power from Saxony and Bavaria and Prussia, centralising everything. As part of the 4Ds policy, decentralisation, power is restored to the regional assemblies, and indeed, the regions are given representation at a national level in the Bundesrat. That's the upper chamber, bit loosely like our House of Lords. So there's two chambers to the West German government, the Bundestag and the Bundesrat. And the Bundesrat includes representatives from each of the different regions around Germany. So the federal model is restored. Secondly, They take careful measures to ensure that actually you can't have, as you did under Weimar, lots and lots of very small parties being elected, making it very difficult to have any strong, clear majority government. Instead, lots of kind of quite fractious coalitions. The first way they do this is by combining first past the post, which they do keep, but in a reformed model that also includes an element, of including proportional representation. They keep proportional representation, as Weimar had, but mix it with first past the post in quite a complex system which minimises the risk of several small parties being elected. But after the 1949 elections, when they see that lots of small parties still have been elected, actually they bring in a 5% hurdle and say, if you haven't got 5% of the vote, if 5% of the electorate haven't shown up to vote for you, you cannot take your seats, which further reduces the risk that you're going to have lots and lots of small parties elected. All political parties have got to sign up to support for the Constitution and democratic values, which means that in 1952, a neo-Nazi party, the Socialist Right Party, ends up being banned, and in 1956, in West Germany, the KPD, the Communist Party, is also banned. The role of the president is reduced to being largely formal, and certainly any of the powers that had allowed things, the Article 48 powers, the emergency powers via which Hindenburg was able to effectively rule by decree and overrule or undermine Müller and his predecessors, that's all removed. So that's prevented from happening again. And critically, the Chancellor can only be removed by what's called a constructive vote of no confidence. So they can't simply say, oh, we don't want this person, let's get rid. You have to say, we don't want this person, but we do want this person, and a majority of Parliament support them. So you have to have a constructive plan in place before you just get rid of the guy who's got the job right now, to make people think more carefully and to promote strong and stable government. Thank you very much.